side, but I got to ask you about the Celtics. I know yesterday you talked to Jalen Brown about one of the turning points when Marcus Smart called out the team. Take a listen to this, everybody.
Back in November, I'm watching League Pass. Y'all playing a home game against the Bulls. Y'all got waxed. Marcus Smart, the Defensive Player of the Year, came out and had some comments in the media. How did you guys navigate that at that point of the season?
That was a game we were supposed to win, too. We was up. We ended up losing by like 15. So it was tough. We figured out a way we talked it out, and we figured out a way to get on the same page, and ended up working out in the long run.
It's an interesting discussion and a great question, too, because he's talking about how they talked it out. And in many ways, it showed me, at least, that Marcus Smart is one of the leaders of this team. But when we look at this series, we talk about what Jaylen Brown, but especially Jayson Tatum needs to do. So how do you see that going into game one?
So that was a maturation moment for these Boston Celtics that they needed to navigate with a first-year head coach at the time in Ime Udoka, who just got the job. So that level of trust had to be paramount at that point of the season for them to carry it to January where the team finally took off. But here's the one thing I want to say. While we talk about the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry, he's a splash brother. Marcus Smart is a crash brother. And so what do I mean by that? They changed the dynamics of their roster at the point guard spot. Normally, when Jaylen Brown got drafted, he played with Isaiah Thomas. He's played with Kyrie Irving at the point, and he's also played with Kemba Walker. All offensive-driven point guards. Marcus Smart is not a shoot-first point guard. He's a terrific defensive player, so now that changes the dynamics of your team and the leader of your defense at the point of attack. You have to do less switching. You have to do less helping. And so now all of a sudden it puts everybody in their space. And then when you talk about leadership, leading the team in assists, leading a team in steals, and challenging his best players offensively, Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, to make the play. If that's scoring and being aggressive, do that. If it's making your teammates better and more accountable, do that. And since January 1st, they took off defensively. Since February 1st, they're number one in the league in offensive and defensive rating. And it has a lot to do with the growth of that moment that Jaylen Brown talked about.
So let's talk about Jayson Tatum, because you talked about leaving them space to make the play. How are you feeling and how concerned are you about Tatum making the play and taking over down the stretch? Because we've been showing a graphic all day about how Marcus Smart is taking more late game shots than Tatum. And that's been one of the questions. Can he take over, or does he need to take over down the stretch?
He will take over. And the function of Marcus Smart taking more shots is really just positioning on the floor and how the defense funnels the ball to a person they want to shoot it late. So being at the game last time and Marcus Smart was 0 for 5 at the end against the Heat, there's something we say in the league, Ryan, he was open for a reason. And so now what the Celtics will do is they'll move Tatum around and put him in position where he can do one or two. Like, they had a great inbounds play, I think you just showed it right there, where they kicked it into Tatum and he did a Mamba move, faked over the shoulder and made a turnaround jumper. So I think that's the growth in this game. Now the defenders for the Golden State Warriors will be Wiggins, will be Kuminga, will be Klay Thompson. They'll do a good job of making Jayson Tatum work. But when you're the go-to guy, your move just has to be decisive. You don't get 5 or 6 dribbles to play with it late. You only get 2 or 3. And I think that's something that he's improved at, and I think you'll see that growth in this series.
Giving us all these good nuggets for people to look for tonight in the game, which I can't wait to see. Okay, I know you touched on this earlier in the show, but I want to make sure everybody hears it. Who are you picking tonight, Celtics Warriors?
Jeez, this is worse than picking my outfit tonight. Got to go get untwisted, get a fresh cut. Jeez. I'll say the Golden State Warriors in 7. Ooh. I think this is going to be a long series. I think it's going to be a competitive series. And this is how you know it's going to be a great series. There's going to be a point in this series where we look at either team and feel like they're done. Like, you know what? I can't believe the Celtics lost like that. I can't believe the Warriors lost by 55 to Memphis without Ja Morant. There's going to be the game where we say, oh, man, the Boston Celtics lost by 20 again to the Miami Heat. But ultimately, the length of this series, I think the Golden State Warriors' ability, here's what you want to watch. to make shots late in the shot clock. See, it's one thing to get a bucket early in the clock, but it's another thing when it's like 4, 3, 2, 1 to get a high-quality shot. First, second, third, or fourth quarter. The Warriors are the best at doing so.
Right.
That's why they're my pick.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.